Good morning again, friends. It's not really a good morning, is it? But we're going to do the best we can, because that's all we can do, is endure this injustice, endure this madness of our police state that takes the lives of any and all suspects. Let's talk about that word suspect. Remember when you were taught that you were innocent until proven guilty? Now you're dead until the state news proves you guilty. Now you're dead until the state news puts out the media release from the police justifying your killing and making sure that nobody in the public could have empathy or sympathy for you because you deserved it. You deserved it. Listen to the story that I posted under this thread, under my first part of this broadcast about Fuad Katie, and listen to the callous disregard with which they talk about an injured man, laughing at him like you wouldn't laugh at an injured animal. The horror, the abject horror that we're expected to endure and believe in this police state is cruel and unusual punishment in and of itself. You've been gaslighted, America. Gaslighted by Nazis. By fucking Nazi pigs who will murder you and frame you. Murder you and smear you and your family and hound your family and never give them peace or justice. That's what you have in American cops. That nice cop that you know, your neighbor, your brother-in-law, whatever, he knows what he is. She knows what she is. This is no secret to the cops. They're trained to kill you. They're trained that there is a war on police and that they are your victims. They are your potential victim in waiting. And the only way to stay safe as a police officer is to murder you, is to empty their clip of bullets at your center mass. Because you could have a butter knife or a box knife or a pipe or a board or whatever they can stick in your hands as a dead man or a dead woman. Maybe it's a game controller. Maybe it's a cell phone. It doesn't matter. Remember from broadcast 1, all these genius cops have to do is think. They're not the best thinkers to begin with. That's why they're cops. They're not real thinkers to begin with, right? We're already at a major thinking fucking deficit. These guys only have to think that you or somebody that looks like you may have been involved in a crime that amounts to a felony, and they can use up to lethal force for you. And the court's going to allow them to do it. It's their job to kill you. When will you learn, goddammit? When will America fucking learn that it's the job of American police to kill you? That's why they never, ever, ever are accountable. That's why Amber Geiger, after masturbating with her firearm and drunk, could walk into a black man's house and kill him. And the media talks about how his house smelled of weed. Well, my house smells of weed right now. Would you like to kill me? Maybe some of you would. But you know what? That's not legal. You can't do that. You don't just get to murder whoever you want. You don't get to. I don't get to either. We're accountable. We are human beings that are accountable for our behaviors. Right? And if we weren't, wouldn't you be scared? If somebody came up to you and said, hey, I'm not accountable at all for my behavior. Anything I do to anyone, anywhere, they're going to let me off. I get to go. I get to do anything you want. You would run, and you should run. It's a mob. It's a criminal gang. It's a bunch of fucking killers with badges that your fucking politicians and police unions empower with this right of life or death. No, there is no police oversight board. No, there is no number of lawsuits. No, there is no Democrat you can elect. No, there is nobody that will come and save you. Police unions have contracts on your life. Okay, let's go through some statistics that I learned this week, or last week actually, in a presentation to the Portland City Council about our next year upcoming police union contract negotiations. Did you know that chokeholds are legal again in New York? Did you know that the NYPD put an addendum in their manual that invalidates the previous pages so that chokeholds are now legal? And so that now you, when they murder another black man or another person on the streets of New York with a chokehold, now you and I, as activists or members of the public, we don't get to say shit because chokeholds are legal now. They're not going to give us that out again. That's how evil they are. Right? The police union rep stands up there and says, my guys did nothing wrong. My guys are great. They're your fucking heroes. They're your motherfucking heroes that kill you. Motherfucking heroes they are. Same thing, Chicago, 16 cops. 16 cops were in on the cover-up of the murder of Laquan McDonald. The police union rep stands by Officer Van Dyke saying, and I quote, he did what he was trained to do. We stand behind him. What more evidence do you need? I'll give you some more. Guess who the Police Union of America endorses as your forever dictator? Donald Trump. The Police Union of America, the guys that you fucking pay, endorse Donald Trump publicly, officially, and enthusiastically. All those white sheriffs getting their photo op at the White House, you could hear one of them shout, "We got your back, Mr. President. We got your back." Guess whose back they don't have? Fucking yours. And those guys are your jailers. Those are the guys that run your municipal jails, right? We talk about private prisons, and I'm really, really glad that we woke up to the fact that private corporations running prisons and jails are horrible things. But let's not, please, forget the fact that public-run, municipally run jails and prisons are every bit as bad. They use slave labor. I wrote to you about my 20 days in slavery and in incarceration in Portland's awful, disgusting, vile jail called the Multnomah County Inverness Jail in Portland, Oregon. This is where you go if you're awaiting trial or processing from the police state of Portland, Oregon. You go to the Multnomah County Inverness Jail for longer stays. They have a small jail downtown. But for your longer stays and your better prisoners, you get to go to Multnomah County Inverness Jail. And isn't that a trip? I wrote you a story about that. Solitary confinement will turn any person into a fucking animal. And I can vouch for you that I came out of there a fucking animal. A wild fucking animal after 20 days in a cage. And some of my fellow prisoners who are still in there, who I mourn for and grieve for every single day, have spent months and years in that fucking solitary confinement hellhole. No music, no TV, nothing. Over 21 hours a day, sometimes 22 or 23. And then they come out and sit in a pod where there's one TV on a pole and watch whatever the guards and the orderlies allowed to be up on that TV. Some of these guys never go outside and breathe fresh air for months and years at a time. There's a yard that the prisoners can go out into. It's 20 feet subgrade next to the Portland airport with jets taking off overhead. And a chain link fence 20 feet above your head capping the whole thing off. It's a lovely scene. I went out there every chance I possibly could to breathe fresh air. I also had the advantage of knowing that as a non-violent criminal who had no felonies on my records, I wasn't going to stay forever. But it was fucking awful. Absolutely fucking awful. So today, in Portland, well, actually yesterday, we had an activist murdered, a young man named Sean, whom I didn't know personally, but a lot of my friends did. He was hit by an SUV on the street, an assassination. Who did it? Who fucking knows? Could be violent activity. He was associated with anti-fascist folks on the street, as opposed to the fascist fans, Patriot Prayer, the Proud Boys that come around. I'm not a gang guy. Watching our young men and women fight on the streets does nothing for anyone. Here's the deal. The criminals are in your city hall signing your police union contracts, signing your rights away, signing away contracts on your life. The fact that they can have our young people in the streets fighting each other is shame on us, and a very big shame on us. Shame on us for fighting each other while we live under the tyranny of a police state. Shame on us for fighting each other while oligarch Ted Wheeler sits in City Hall and fraternizes daily with pedophiles and criminals and killer cops. And that fucker's running for re-election. He's running for re-election while hanging out with known pedophiles in Portland, Oregon. Pastor Matt Hennessy raped his 12-year-old family member and continued to do so up to the age of 16. Now he runs a church that Ted goes to and hangs out at. Scott Ballow is a political hack working for some of Ted's idols. Ted hangs out with Scott. Scott got caught for child trafficking and pornography. Terry Bean, one of Ted's big supporters. Terry Bean's partner just got convicted for co-raping a child, a 16-year-old with Terry. Terry's facing trial now. Neil Goldschmidt, Ted's idol. Ted keeps a place on the wall open for the man, Neil Goldschmidt, who raped a 13-year-old girl and continued to have a sexual rape relationship with her while in the mayor's office for a period of years. And adults knew, his driver knew, his security knew, all of this, that a sitting mayor of Portland was raping an 8th grade girl from St. Mary's Girls Academy right down the street. He hired her single mother to work in the mayor's office. Now, Ted Wheeler had the mayor's picture of Neil Goldschmidt still in his office and insisted upon keeping it up on the wall of honored mayors, even though Neil Goldschmidt was taken down. He became governor of Oregon later. His portrait was taken out of the governor, out of the state capitol, as one of the honorable governors and put into the archives, never to be viewed or celebrated by the public, because he's a child rapist. Today, Ted Wheeler still has that gap in the wall of mayors saved for the Neil Goldschmidt picture that I took down and burned. It was worth $40. They want over a year of my life in jail because Ted Wheeler loves pedophiles and child rape of 13-year-olds that much. And that is the man. That is the same Ted Wheeler who will be in charge of negotiating your police union contract. The same man that covered up the killing of Andre Gladden. The same man that covered up the murder of Moose Hayes. The same man that covered up the murder of John Elefritz. The same man that lied about the murder of Patrick Kimmons. The same man who has a Portland Police Bureau that has a Nazi in it named Mark Kruger. The same man who hired Chief Daniel Outlaw straight out of a career in the Oakland Police Department when the Oakland Police and her career show that she's a racist terrorist from the Gang in Blue, and then celebrated her as a black police chief, a black woman police chief. Well, huzzah for that. Our genocide can be promoted by a black woman. How wonderful. Daryl Turner, Portland Police Association's union representative. He's a black man, was a Portland police officer, The gang in blue has no race. You will see Hispanics hating Hispanics, blacks hating blacks, whites hating whites. The gang in blue hates everybody. It's us against them. And that's what they're taught. That's how they're trained. It is a war on you by them. So let's recap, because, monologues, I think, get a little bit boring. Police unions have contracts on your life. When a filed complaint is registered against an officer, there's a 98 to 99% chance that it will be found in favor of the officer. Say that again. The reported police crimes are found to be invalid 98 to 99% of the time. Now, that leaves us, let's say 1% of the time that police are found to be guilty and accountable for their crimes, any crimes. 70% of that 1% is overturned by arbitration based upon police union contracts. That's how in Centralia, Washington, the site of my torture, there was a policeman that was going around tasing people, which is lethal force. It's less lethal, but it's lethal. He was going around tasing people for fun. Innocent people, just tasing them for fun. He was fired and then put back on the job by arbitrator and by his police union contract. A man that tortures innocent people for fun was put back on the street by his police union contract. This is not uncommon. This is how it works. So all of you that are saying vote blue, all of you that are saying get a police reviewed, all of you that are doing any of this need to wake up and stop this madness and realize that abolishing police unions, abolishing the gang in blue that is empowered to murder us is literally your only salvation. And what we will have is a civil war or sectarian warfare when citizens start lashing out at cops, any cops, the one that you like and the one you don't like, with lethal violence. Because citizens are running out of gas on this genocide. I read you guys daily. You write to me. I'm the guy that writes about peace, saying, hey, if we abolish this, then we can avoid the sectarian war and civil war. And I know, people want to go Black Hawk down. I mean, people want these killer cops and these crooked cops that are framing them and murdering and brutalizing them, hanging from bridges. That's called war. We don't want that. We don't want civil war. We don't want sectarian war. They have bigger guns than we do. They'll drop a bomb on your house. They're not going to fight nicely. And no, you don't want to fight cops. That's called suicide. That's what they live for. They're militarized for their protection, not yours. They became militarized so that they could run this police state over your fucking dead body. That's why cops are militarized. This is proven. Again, if you want to read my Twitter feed or Facebook or anything else that I made, you will know that militarization does not make us safe. Police militarization did not increase American safety at all. In fact, it's the reverse. We're hiring men with guns to murder us and perpetrate genocide. We don't have a justice system that's fair and equal under the law. We have innocent men and women rotting in our jails. It's disgusting and it's unacceptable, and it can't go on a day longer, yet it will. Genocide and slavery can't go on a day longer, yet they will. All right, that's your Sunday broadcast. If you guys send me questions, I will do my best to answer them. Peace. It's the only answer. Violence is a tool of the state, and they do it better than anyone. We, the people, can be peaceful, and we can win with general strikes, peaceful civil disobedience, and coming together. We're not the enemy. The enemy's in the city hall. All right, you guys. Peace.